live.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, June 11th. This is the special meeting of the Finance Committee for the Board of Education. We'll start with the review of the May 2026 financial report. Rich.
So this is the financial report through May. We are showing a positive balance of $231,739. This is an increase of just over $55,000 from the prior month. The changes include an adjustment to a couple settlements for $38,849 in special ed. We did review the FICA tax account. We are going to be under budget due to some staffing changes throughout the year, and that's $13,246. We have some salary savings from a vacant groundskeeper of just over $2,000. It is this time of year where we're starting to close down POs. And so some of those POs that have been closed down have generated about $2,741 across a number of accounts. We still have about 450 open POs left to close the year. ELP tuition refund of just under $1,400, and that makes up the $55,000 change. Overall, the general education RCs are a positive $43,651, while the special education RCs are a positive $188,088. And again, the majority of that is the excess cost revenue that we received. Just going through the RCs for the changes. In RC1, some of those accounts that I mentioned earlier for small dollar amounts that were closed out, textbooks, resource materials show a positive balance of $94. At the middle school, textbooks, classroom reference, periodicals, resource materials show a positive balance of $254. At Hinley, textbooks, classroom reference, teaching supplies, $210. At Holmes, same thing, textbooks, classroom reference, periodicals, teaching supplies, $438. At Oxbridge, those same accounts for $50. At Royal, those same accounts for $294. At Tokenique, those same accounts for $426. At RC12, as I mentioned earlier, we did have a groundskeeper resign, and so there's salary savings from that gap in time of $2,700. In music, software, classroom reference, office supply show a positive balance of $330. Art, teaching supplies, $61. Curriculum, ESL resources, $28. Library, sessions, periodicals, resource materials, a little over $700. Tech ed, teaching supplies, $112. And then just moving to RC24, as I mentioned, the tuition changes for $38,000. I did want to highlight there's no change in excess cost, but we have received all the money that's anticipated to be received this year. And then in RC25, FICA does show that savings of $13,246.
Mr. Dunn and Robin are joining remotely.
Okay. Thanks, Rich. Any questions? Joanna?
The groundskeeper, is that something that's easy to hire?
So it's been filled. We're just waiting for that person to start. And so it's just like a couple of weeks where that person, there's nobody in the position.
Right.
Go ahead.
And so you said in the teaching supplies or closing POs, and you still have 450 left. So do you expect that number to go up?
It'll likely go up. So as we kind of get closer to the end of the year, POs that are open for blankets, which are basically like, you know, if you're buying paper, let's say, and, you know, you have $1,000 PO, maybe you spend $950. As you close that down, you'll start to accumulate small amounts across everything. So that $2,700 will grow a little bit.
Are there any, like we're getting close to year end, any year end changes, expectations?
So everything's running pretty much as expected. We'll likely end up closing the PO for the staff and parent survey for the bus transportation study because it likely won't happen before June 30th if it were to occur. And then we have electricity accounts which could fluctuate slightly. We're still waiting on those end of year electricity bills, but for the most part, everything's running as expected.
And anything that's impacting go forward for next year?
Nothing that's going to impact next year for this year's budget.
Okay, great. Other questions?
Well, just in general, as the surplus gets a little bigger, you know, the other night we talked about new materials that might need to be purchased with the change in the technology policy. Do you see room for any of that like happening before the school year, or we really need to wait to see?
I think we really need to wait and see because there's a lot of planning that has to happen in the coming school year, but we wouldn't anticipate a huge, we have math textbooks. That was the big wondering. So there's nothing I can see at this moment in time. And if there are any major changes planning into 27, 28, we'll add that to the budget process next year.
That's actually a really good point. To front load what we could buy now versus next year budget with the excess.
There isn't anything that we're aware of at this moment, so.
Thank you, Joanne.
Other questions? Go ahead.
Well, it's also just a general question. So the fiscal year closes on June 30th, right? So then what is your process after that to close out the year?
Yep, so typically we leave the year open for about 6 weeks. Because as an example, for electricity, you consume electricity on June 30th, we're not going to get the bill on June 30th. And so there's about 6 weeks where we're processing invoices, closing down those 450 purchase orders. The next big cash drawdown on the budget is the teachers have a balloon check on the 19th. And so that's represents their summer pays. So that's about $10 to $12 million that'll go out the door June 19th. And then once we reconcile all the accounts, we have to do a state report, which is called the EFS. That state report's due September 1st. Failure to submit that by September 1st is a $10,000 fine. And then at that point, we bring the board the unaudited financial statements, and then we start the audit in the fall.
Great. Anything else?
Just out of my own curiosity, the teacher summer pay, does that go out as a lump sum for the remaining months of the
Yep, so
contract?
teachers have a choice between 26 or 22 pays. So teachers who choose 26 essentially get 4 pays on that June 19th date. And it's essentially money that we've held back throughout the year, and it represents their summer pays. And so some teachers choose to do that because they're not actually getting a paycheck in July and August.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Anything else? And I don't think we have any
No transfers.
transfers. Okay, excellent. Public comment?
We have no members of the public to participate.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Motion to adjourn. Joanna, Bill, we're adjourned.